Hi Flosstube friends, it's Sheri, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on YouTube and also on Instagram, and Oliver. He visited once before. I told his story, I don't know, several Flosstubes ago, I think, but he is meandering around the table and I was thinking if I pull him up here and hold him for a little bit, maybe he won't jump up on the table in the middle of my Flosstube. So he's hanging out saying hi. And if you saw my last Flosstube, you know this is his favorite way to be held. He's just a big baby, a big 16-pound baby. He's 4 years old. I'll turn him around to show you his cute face before he leaves. So anyways, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you coming back, or if you're new, I appreciate you that you found me, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about cross-stitching today. So on my last Flosstube, the question of the day was, do you do a birthday start or special holiday starts? I think I shared with you that I was watching Lori Holt's video, and she does birthday starts for all kinds of people in her family. So she does a lot of starts. Do you want to go now? Okay, say hi to everybody before you go. Isn't he so cute? Yeah, you're so cute. So she does starts for celebrating a lot of different birthdays in her family. And so I decided this year to try a New Year's Day start and also a birthday start. And so I asked you in the question of the day if you guys do starts for different special occasions. So most of you do not, which is usually what I do. Really, I just want to start when I want to start. The nice thing about having a special occasion start is I kind of like knowing that my Smith sampler was started on New Year's Day to celebrate a new year. I like knowing that my All Creatures was started on my birthday in February. So those are probably the only two special occasions I might have a start. Otherwise, I start what I want when I want, and sometimes too often. So most of you don't have special starts, but I wanted to share one comment because it really made me stop and think, and that was from Adina. Let me get it right here. So Adina said that when her mom passed away, she had a lot of partially finished projects, and Adina had a lot of guilt over feeling like she should finish a lot of those projects and feeling guilty if she didn't finish those projects. And she says she doesn't start a lot of projects because she doesn't want to do that to her kids. And I totally understand that. I think I would have the same kind of guilt if I inherited half-done projects from one of my family members that had put a lot of time and effort into the first part of the project and never were able to finish it. So I totally get that. So that really made me stop and think. And what Adina does is she says she has a lot of kits, a lot of projects kitted up, so that if she is gone one day, she'll have a lot of kits ready for new stitchers to start from the beginning on their own project. And I thought that was a neat idea. So just something to think about. I've already told my kids, you know, my joy comes from the process of stitching, and you are not obligated to keep any of the things I've done, or any of the things that aren't framed, or any of the things that are half done. Just know that I got a lot of joy and pleasure out of the process. And so hopefully they'll feel that way and remember that when I'm gone and they're going through all of my stash. So anyway, when COVID started, a year ago now, I hadn't stitched in a couple of months because I was on a knitting whirlwind. Yeah, I've shared before that I own a yarn shop called The Loopy U, and I do a lot of shop samples. I have to try out a lot of different kinds of yarn, potential new yarns, you know, all different kinds of things. And so I had been on a knitting spree for a couple of months. And then COVID started, and I started hearing about the statistics and how serious this was, and I just started thinking, you know, I want to get my Village of Hawk Run Hollow out and finish it. It was halfway done. It had been halfway done for about 2 years probably, and it had a lot of personalization for my family in it, and I just really wanted that one to be one of the ones that was done, and not, you know, if something should happen to me, having that kind of left over. I just wanted to finish on it. And so that's what got me stitching again after a couple months off, was COVID, and what do I want to have finished, and what is important to me to do. Not that finishing stitching is important in the scheme of things, but it was just it was a project that was important to me. So I shared those to the Houses of Hawkrun Hollow and the Village of Hawkrun Hollow in my Flosstube number 9 last time. Finished, framed, and up on the wall now. And I'm so happy to have them done. And, you know, stitching has continued to be such a calming, relaxing, stress-relieving kind of an activity for me all throughout. I don't think I've gone more than a couple days without stitching since, you know, a year ago, and I don't anticipate doing that in the future either. So, but thank you, Adina, for your comment, because it really made me stop and think about similar circumstances and how I wanted to handle that going forward. So I appreciated that. All right, so let's get on to stitching. Today I have a lot of stitching to show you. I have a new giveaway, 2 giveaways actually at the end, and I promised you some photo tips on photoing your projects from my husband, the professional photographer. So we'll do that at the end. So first let's talk about stitching. So my plan last time was to do one row of my Smith sampler, one row of my Gilet. I wanted to start my all creatures, and I wanted to do a couple smalls just to kind of mix in there. So let me show you what I did. First, let's get to the smalls. I started this one. Let's see, this is one that I have had in my stash probably since it came out, 2018. We have a ranch, so right outside our bedroom window is a big lilac tree. And this year, the year that this one came out from Brenda Gervais, we had a robin make a nest in that tree. And I guess there was enough glare on the window that she couldn't see when we were looking out at her, but her nest was a foot away from the window. And so we got to watch, and she had 3 little eggs. See, 3 eggs. 3 little eggs. We got to watch the whole process. We got to watch them hatch. And then, you know, eventually they all flew away. So I got that then. I had not started it until this week. Sometimes it's fun to have a project for a while and then start it, because it just feels really rewarding to start something that you've had on your list for a while. So I just started. I'm doing it on 25 count potato Lugana, 1/1, which is one of my favorite things to stitch on. And so I just got that one started a couple nights ago. So, and then I did, do you remember last time, if you watched my last video, I did that little tiny heart, and I did it, I think I did it 1/1 on 32 count, right? I did it 2 ways, 1/1 on 32 and bigger, 2/2 on 32, maybe? Anyway, I thought, well, I wanted to do another, I'm going to call them tiny treasures. I wanted to do another tiny treasure this time. So this time it is, and I'm going to hold it up just so you can get the name of it. It's a free pattern, so that's why it's okay, I guess, to show this on screen, but I am going to keep my hand over part of it. Please go to La-Di-Da to get a free copy of this, but it's the hand and heart pattern, La-Di-Da. And I tried 1/1 on 36 count, which, I mean, I love the finished project, but I mean, my eyes got tired, and I wear magnifiers. I use a magnifying lamp, which I love. I can't imagine doing any stitching without it. But look how tiny it is. Okay, I'm gonna hold it way up close to you for you to see. It was really fun to do, although taxing on my eyes. And I used Swasserfine, which I got from the attic. On one of my orders with them, I just asked them for a good red and a good blue. And so this is what I used, because it's, can't see that. My hands are in front. I can see it. So this is what I used. Now here's something I just learned. I cannot believe as a quilter, I didn't know this. I learned this from Stacy, the 911 stitcher. Sometimes when you start spools like this, you have to find the little tail that's stuck in there, and I have the darndest time getting it out to start it. And I've taken the point of my scissors to trying to get up under there, and I don't understand. It's so hard, and I think, how do people do this? The top pops up. Look. The top pops up. You can take your thread out. When you're done, you can rewind the thread under, and then you put the top back down. I cannot believe I didn't know this. So, if you have spools and you're using them, the top pops up. And please tell me I'm not the only one that didn't know that. I don't know how I didn't know that. All right, so those are two. I have two other smalls that I worked on. Okay, this one I saw on Daisy K Primitive's Flosstube, and this is from Country Rustic Primitives, and she has an Etsy site. And let me use this board. This was literally a one-night stitch. It was so fast to stitch, but I have a tale of caution for you too. Okay, there we go. So Grace, with the cross, I thought that would be really neat to make a pin cushion, pin pillow. Do you call it pin pillow or pin cushion? One of those pin things. I'm going to make it for Easter. Here's my tale of caution. Do you see those two spots on the bottom? So I was ironing this morning, and I was having a hard time getting the linen to release the creases. So I used Best Press, which if you were a sewer or a quilter, you know about Best Press. It's an ironing spray. It works great to help get wrinkles out, but apparently it makes a stain on cross-stitching fabrics, which is not going to be a big deal because I'm going to make a pillow out of it anyways, but I was not happy. I was glad. What I did was I covered this and then sprayed it top and bottom just to get the creases out from the top and bottom. So luckily I didn't spray it on my stitching, although I guess we'll just call it distressing. We could say it's distressing the project a little bit. So anyways, I'll cut those off when I make the pin cushion, but there's my tale of warning for you. And then the last one I made, a little small, was, oh gosh, I forgot to look up the name of this. This is with a needle and thread, and I stitched it 2/2 on 32 count. I had made this for a friend of mine and given it away, and always wanted to make one for myself. So I did that, and I'll make a little pin cushion out of that too. And this pretty much solidified the fact that I don't like stitching on 32 count anymore. I don't know, I don't really like how it looked or the thread coverage. Maybe I just don't like stitching with 2 threads anymore. I don't know. It wasn't really fun, and I can't remember the fabric I used, but I'm going to use a lot of my 32s for 1/1s, I think, and that'll be a good way to use up that stash. So those were my smalls, and then of course I had some progress on 3 of my big ones. So first is my Gilles Leger, which I thought I was going to put my Grandma Anna's name on, and now I think I'm going to put my Grandma Gladys's name on, because I was looking at this 1898. I think my grandma was born in 1900, maybe. So I wondered what Gilles Leger, I've really been wondering about Gilles Leger, because as you work on projects, especially reproduction samplers, don't you sometimes want to know more about the person? You know, some samplers have the information, and what I was watching whilst Iris naps, Flosstube, and she does so much research on her samplers that she reproduces. It's so amazing how much information she can find out. And I loved listening to her talk about the background on all of her pieces. But a lot of pieces don't come with information, or the information's not easy to find, and this is one of them. There's no information on who this girl is, but the more I stitch her piece, the more I just think she's so creative, and her use of colors was just so fun. And so I went back and I Googled girls' names that begin with G in the 1880s or 1890s, thinking maybe she was a Gladys, like my grandma. Well, in the most popular names during that time, it was Grace and Gertrude were the G ones. So I'm thinking maybe this was a Grace, maybe it's a Gertrude. But anyways, it's been fun to work on. And let's see. I think I'll fold this. So I was hoping to get another whole row of the alphabet done. But what I hadn't counted on was I still had to do the apple. And I had to do that bird over there by the apple. And whatever that sunshiny thing is down there next to the apple. And then I realized I hadn't done any of the yellow underneath the red house, so I had to do that. And then I did the border. Now, the border. Remember last time when I was sharing with you how the Smith sampler has an uneven border at the top? And so I had to rip out, and I had to learn a lesson to always count. And one of you left a comment in the comments on that one and said, well, I always count because, those girls were doing, rougher work on their samplers, and they didn't have as good of light, and they were 8 or 9 years old. And so a lot of them have borders or edges that aren't even all the way along. So you would think that I would have learned my lesson. And what I did was I did count along here. Okay, there's 6 spaces, there's 6 spaces, there's 6 spaces. Okay, 6 spaces between each of the little scallops along the bottom. So I did the top row of red, and I got to the end, and it didn't end up right. I think I was 1 stitch short. So what I do when that's the case is I go back along and see if it lines up all the way along with what it's supposed to line up with right above it. And then I found the place where it didn't, and I looked at the pattern, and there were 7 spaces in between the little scallops at that particular place. So then I went back and looked at the whole pattern, and there are, some have 6, some have 7. There doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to any of it. So then I had to decide, do I want to rip all of that out? Well, it's a dark red, and you know how when you rip out, sometimes you get leftover fibers or just little markings of red. And I was going to tell you, do you remember the last time, let's see where I have that, the last time I shared with you these fun zipper project bag zipper pulls, right? They come in a bag of 100 on Amazon, and I linked them last time, but I can link them again. So what I've discovered is this little end, now I keep it on my scissor too, because this little end is textured. I don't know if I can show you this or not. Let me see how close I can get. Textured so that it is great for running along the line of stitching that you've just undone, because that kind of rubberized end picks up all the little pieces. It's wonderful. So not only for project zipper pulls, but also on your scissors to essentially erase, pull up all the leftover threads. Either way, I didn't want to undo mine. So what I did was I just finished it up with 6 in between. I did the bottom to match it, and then I went back in and figured out what I wanted to do to fill in the middle. And it's not, let's see, it's not all that different from what was on the, let's see if I don't know if you can see that, from what was on the pattern itself. I mean, obviously it's a little different, but I made it similar and I like how it turned out, and I just have to remember to do that on the top. So don't let me forget to do that on the top. I'm going to do the same thing. So that was really fun. And again, I just love her. I feel like she's a whimsical, creative girl, or guy. Could it be a guy? I didn't look up boys' names with G's. It's a little flowery. I'm thinking it was probably a girl. Just, I shouldn't say that. Guys like flowers too. I don't know who did it. But I really appreciate their sense of creativity, their use of color, their whimsy. Again, I'm using silks from the attic, and it's been a really fun project to work on. All right, my next one is Smith Sampler. And this was my New Year's Day start. And what originally drew me to this was just the symmetry. I don't know, there was just something about the simple lines. Not that it's a simple pattern. There was just something that appealed to me about it that I really liked. And I got the silk conversion from the attic, and boy, I love this so much. Now, one thing that I did, I'm just getting a board to put it on. One thing that I did was, see that basket? I was only going to do one row and I couldn't stop working on it. The basket in the second row down is white, and it has the name Smith in it, which is why this is called the Smith Sampler. And I knew I didn't want to do that, and I also didn't want the basket to be all white. So I filled the basket in with colors that mimic the pattern along the border, and now I just can't even stand how much I love it. All right, let me get closer for you. Look how fun that is. Isn't that cool? So you see I just filled in, let's see, let me get the pattern back. The pattern has those triangles in the basket, so I just kept the triangles, outlined the triangles, and filled it in with color, like the color along the edge in the triangles. Oh, I love it so much. So I did this row and then the basket because I just wanted to keep going on it. Isn't that fun? Can't wait to finish this. And the colors are just so much. I know they're different colors because I'm doing attic conversion, but oh, they're just so beautiful in person. I just love it. So another very creative stitcher did that one. All right, and then the last project I worked on was, let's see, Barbara Anna's All Creatures. This is another pattern that I've had for probably 3 years. And like I said, I'm just so happy to be actually making progress on a pattern that I've wanted to make progress on for a long time, but just never started. So I started this not on my birthday day, because my birthday is the 28th of February, so it's the very last day. I started it in my birthday month, so it's my birthday month start. And I'm doing this on 25 count potato Lagana, 1/1. And I love how it's turning out. It's just so fun to work on. Initially, I thought, boy, this is going to take a while because there's a lot of small icons in there, small characters, a lot of color changes. You know, whereas sometimes in a sampler you can use the same color for a while. This one has frequent color changes, which is a little time consuming. But as soon as I got into the flow of things, it just became a non-issue. I also did not want to stop working on this one. And I'm so looking forward to getting back to it. And when I say I didn't want to stop working on it, I think that's always a good place to leave your stitching if you have multiple projects. I usually, in my mind, pick out an end point. I'm going to do this, like for this one, I was going to do these two and stop, and I didn't. So I did the hill, but in my mind I have a stopping point or a milestone or a goal that I'd like to get to before moving on to my next project. And I do like switching out to a different project about every week. New colors, different fabric, a lot of times different fabric size, obviously different designer. It's just fun to kind of move along. And I always like it when I'm leaving something that I'm still wanting to work on, because I know I'm going to be anxious to get back to it. I don't usually have more than 3 or 4 projects going, so they're all getting, progress made on them within the month. But it's just kind of fun to have a few different ones going on. So if you've never tried that, you might try that. You might like it like I did, because I never used to. I used to be a one project at a time, work on it till it was done, then do the next one. Of course, I didn't have a lot of stash ahead of time either, so all of that's changed so much. I know we've already talked about that one time. So those are the projects that I've worked on and that I'm going to continue working on next time. So I'd like to finish my Smith sampler next time. I want to do another ABC row in G Leger. I want to do lots on my All Creatures, and then I want to start some other ones, and I've pulled up a couple of possibilities, because if I finish my Smith sampler, then I'm going to have plenty of space for one more. So it dawned on me too, the G Leger is the first project I've done in silks, pretty much. I tried silks on a couple, behind me. Can you see? Behind me, the red and the blue samplers, the little pin cushions, those I did with silks, and those were my first tries at a whole project in silk. And I just wanted to do a one color just to see if I even liked it. But my G Leger is my biggest all silks project I've ever done. Of course I love working with silks. I got my Smith sampler, wanted to do the silks, but it's dawning on me that I'm going to be done with both projects around the same time or soon thereafter, and then I won't have a silk project anymore. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is get the silks for Jane Bannister. This is a huge project. It's going to take me a long time to do. I'm not in any hurry to do it, but if I have it in silks, then I have one project in silks that I get to work on once a month or however often I want to do that. And I still love working in overdyes. I still love working in DMC. I'm doing DMC on my All Creatures. So, I can work with anything, but it is really nice to have a silk project ongoing as well. So that's what I'm thinking. I also got the threads. Well, I changed some up, but I got threads for this one. This is going to be a pretty quick little one, so I'd like to do that. And I'm using a brighter red just because I like my tomatoes to be brighter, so that's something I changed out. I might have changed out a lot of colors. I don't know. I think I just pulled what I had. So that's one. I have the threads for Little Deeds sampler, and I'm really anxious to get going on that one. And that's also a pretty small one, I think. 129 by 157. Not so small, but not big. And I love this CC Smith sampler because okay, let me show you this side. Love the colors in this one. Aren't those pretty? I love blackbird colors. They're more subtle and more quiet, I think I would say. I really like bold, bright colors too. And I don't like garish colors like lime green, and I do like lime green, but not in a sampler. But I like just strong colors. Okay, let's call them strong colors. I like strong colors in a sampler, and that's what appealed to me about this one. I love the strong colors in that one. Also have kitted up Martha Scott. Okay, the only reason I haven't started Martha Scott is because I didn't know what I wanted to do about the name down there. I asked you your opinion on that. Maybe in my very first Flosstube, do you leave the original stitcher's name on the project? Do you put your own family members' names? I like the idea of having my grandparents and Paul's grandparents' names on some of our samplers. But this one, it's such a big part of the design. So I still haven't quite decided how I want to handle that, but I love the colors in this one. Cannot wait to get started on that. And then, I know you all watch Brenda and Laura. They have designated the first weekend in May, Blackbird Stitching Weekend. And I'm so excited about that because I want to do, I just have the photocopy. I always make a working copy from the Blackbird books because I just don't want to have the whole book folding open and closed. Anyway, it's one of the Christmas samplers in their, I guess their latest Christmas book. It's the one with the checkerboard house. I have a beautiful piece of fabric from Misty at Luminous Fiber Arts, Sparrow, that I'm going to do that on. And I can't wait to stitch that. I'm going to work on it the whole weekend, the first weekend in May. And I don't think they've decided on a hashtag yet, so of course just continue watching them and you will figure that out when I figure that out. And then the other one I'm really dying to start, and I almost started this as my birthday start until I saw Lori Holt's All Creatures Great and Small, and that swayed me, is this one from Lila's Studio. Isn't that going to be fun? So much going on in there. And I'm doing it on 40 count, and I can't remember what. Oh, weathered shingle, 40 count weathered shingle. And I have all the threads, and it uses some DMCs. So I'm really excited about that. So I have so many possibilities, so many things. And then, right yesterday, I was watching Nicole from Nicole's Needlework, and I had to stop the video 3 times to go add things to my wish list. 3 times. And then when I was watching Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, I had to stop again to go add something to my wish list. And I think I was just overdone on, I just wanted all the things yesterday. All the things. And I keep a wish list going on 123 Stitch, but it's a fluid wish list. I really wish more websites had wish lists because I use it as something to kind of like a stopgap. Don't buy it yet, think about it. So I put a lot of things on my wish list, and then I think about it, and then I go back, I don't know, a couple weeks or a month, even a month later, and I go through my wish list again, and I delete some things, and I add some other things. And you know, if I need to order, like what, last week or 2 weeks ago, I needed to order 2 skeins of DMC, but of course I can't just order 2 skeins of DMC. So I went to my wish list and decided what other things needed to come along with that. And so that's kind of how I use my wish list. I buy from you know, a lot of different places, not only 123 Stitch, but I do use their wish list feature as my kind of holding tank. So last night I went to bed and I thought, you know, I'm just going to look through all the samplers on 123 Stitch while I get sleepy, because you know you can search by theme on their cross stitch patterns. And so I started looking, and I was adding things to my wish list, and I was getting so excited about some of these different things, not to mention the ones I'd already added on there because of Nicole and Stacy. And I finally had to stop at page 7. I think it goes to 15 or more pages. I think there were 1,629 sampler things that came up in the sampler category. I finally thought, I just got to go to bed, turn my phone off, turned the light off, laid there in bed thinking, I'm all hepped up now. Now who does that sound like? Laura. Laura gets all hepped up. And so I was thinking about Laura. I'm just like, I'm all hepped up, just like Laura. Got me. And I dreamed about cross stitching all night. Actually, I dreamed about a fun design I should work on. I forgot about that. You know how you can dream something and you totally forget it in the morning, and then you're talking, you're saying something, and all of a sudden it brings back that memory? Yeah. I had a really good design idea last night in my dreams. So anyway, I'm kind of on a roll with new projects, new patterns that I think I want, you know, all of those things. Let me show you my haul that I got. And then we've got a couple other things I want to share with you. So I told you that I went to Country Rustic Primitives. So I got that Grace pattern. I also got Trio of Heart. I think I ordered around Valentine's Day. So I'm going to make those for next year. And then I thought this would be cute for spring and Easter. Sweet Strawberry Pillow Tuck. Isn't that cute? And then I got this again because I love the colors. It's very Christmassy. Winifred Clark 1892, which I think I got from 1-2-3 Stitch. And then Wishing Thee Merriness, which has been on my wish list for a long time. I just like the way they say it. Wishing Thee Merriness. Cinnamon Stick Santa. And then I finally got Snooty Parrots. Remember, I've tried to add this to my wish list multiple times, and you know why I don't know it's on there? Because my wish list is ridiculously long. But I finally got Snooty Parrots, and I'm really looking forward to doing that one. And this one is done in Gentle Art, so I'll probably do that. Finally got Winds of Autumn from the attic. And then I wanted to show you this adorable project bag that my dear friend Nancy in California got me for my birthday. And I will link to this person's Etsy site. I don't see it, but I know I saved it. Anyways, in the inside, you can do a little ribbon, personalizing. It is the most well-made bag, and isn't it beautiful? So they can personalize on the outside and they can personalize on the inside. So I will link to her down below. So that is my haul. Okay, this time I have 3 things I want to share with you, and it's kind of like the 3 things I'm all into. I don't know what else to call it, but Kitten Stitcher calls it 3 things I'm all into. So first of all, this is the only thing I asked for my birthday. Seriously, it's food. And I froze this one so that I could show it to you, save one. It is not your mama's Rice Krispie bars for sure. This is the very best cookie in the whole world.com. Kirsten makes these. Kirsten's mom, Kim, is a friend of mine. But I've always ordered my own. I'm not being paid to promote them. These are the best Rice Krispie bars in the world. Now, a friend of mine sent me some for Christmas, and Paul and I ate them, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are so good. I think she caramelizes the butter. I don't know, I think she toasts the marshmallow. I thought, well, you know, it's Rice Krispie bars, how hard can that be? And I thought, I'm just going to make them, like, they're really thick. So I thought, I'm going to try it over the Christmas holidays when there are people around to eat these kinds of things. And I tried it. I don't know what she does. She puts some kind of voodoo magic in her cookies and bars because I couldn't make it. And I've been craving them ever since. Usually I eat a pretty keto diet, but these are worth breaking it for. So I told Paul, you can buy 6 or 12, and I told Paul that's the only thing I want for my birthday, but get the 6, do not get the 12. I don't want 12 around the house. He got the 12. So this is the last one, and I can't wait to eat it this afternoon with my coffee, but I wanted to show it to you first, so I will link below. She has amazing chocolate chip cookies, which is what she started with. She started her business at the beginning of COVID, and she's been featured in Forbes and The Hustle and Food and Wine. I mean, she is just nailing it, and her cookies and bars are so delicious. So if you ever are in need of this or a fun gift, I'm going to suggest this. And again, they taste a little caramely because of the caramelizing. You know, they don't taste exactly like a regular Rice Krispie bar. That's what I love about them. So that's my first thing, what I'm all into. The second thing came because my friend Kathy and I were talking about moisturizers and skincare and, you know, all of the things, because she's got the most beautiful skin, and I don't like doing all that research. I just want somebody to tell me what to do. And so she told me all of these different, you know, things to buy, and they're not expensive. Some of them are expensive, but some of them are not expensive. And I have been loving using that. But the one thing I wanted to share with you is this Super Moisturizer by Athena Natural Wellness. And I will put a link below. It is the best moisturizer I've ever used on my arms and legs. And here in Colorado, I mean, it's dry here. And I know some of you live in dry places. And it seems like you can moisturize and moisturize, but you wake up the next morning and it's dry again. This is the only thing where I felt like I could use it once a day, and my skin doesn't look, you know, like it needs to be moisturized. So I love this stuff. I will link that below. My third and final thing is a new company, I think they're newer, called Thread Milk Designs. So it's threadmilkdesigns.com. I will link to them. Lori and her husband visited me at the Loopy U last month. They were on vacation and they detoured to come through, and we had a great chat, and she told me about her company, and she wanted to send me a couple of the things that they make. So she sent those. So one of them is this 9-inch ruler, and this is for cutting your threads all the same length. Now when you use hand-dyed threads, you just snip the bottom and they're all the same length. You don't even have to take them off of the card they come on. But when you use DMC, you've got to either bobinate them or put them in floss bags, or however you want to do it. Since I'm using so many thread drops nowadays because I use a lot of hand dyeds, I really want it all to be similar. So what you do is you take your DMC and you just wind it all the way around, and then when you're done, you hold the two ends here and you clip, you clip where the two ends are. You hold your two ends here and you clip the bottom, and then you've got the perfect 18-inch lengths to put on your thread drops. So I wanted to show it to you first, and now I'm going to go through and do that to my DMC. And then she sent me these two things just to get my opinion on them, but I love this next thing so much that I immediately ordered another 50. She sells the milk caps in a pack of 50. So you can get them like this on a thread ring, but look at these. These are vintage milk caps. They have two holes in them, a hole at the top to put on your cable, and then a hole at the bottom to put your thread in. And for somebody like me who loves vintage things, I don't ever want to use any other thread drops again. They're adorable. So I bought her pack of 50 more that I get to use. And I probably will write on the backs with pencil. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep my DMC on these or switch them to, just a punched out piece of cardboard and use the fun, colorful ones for my current projects. Anyway, I'm happy to have them. I think you would love them if you like vintage things like I like vintage things, and I will link to those below. So thank you, Lori, for sending these to me, and also for sending me a package with more that I wanted to order after I got them. So those are my 3 things I wanted to tell you guys about. And I won't do 3 things every time, but just once in a while I think, oh, I gotta tell people about this. You know how you find something and you want to tell all your friends, and then after you've told your friends, sometimes you want to tell your other friends. So now I'm telling you too. All right, question of the day. We are getting 12 to 24 inches of snow this weekend from Friday night to Sunday. 12 to 24. 12 we get, maybe once or twice a winter, 12 inches. 24 is pretty unusual, and I am thrilled because I love snow. And the mountains are going to get like 50 inches of snow, top of the mountains. I can't even imagine. So my question of the day is, what's the weather like where you are? Because I know my friend Christy in Alabama, she'll text me in March and say, I'm wearing a t-shirt. What are you wearing? And I'll be like, well, I'm wearing boots and a scarf right now. So I know the weather is different all over. So tell me in the comments below, what is the weather like where you're at right now? Because we're going to get some snow. If I think about it, and if it does actually come through, which it usually does, I'll take a picture and put it on my Instagram for you. So what's the weather like where you are? All right, we have 2 giveaways today. And hang on, I have one. What did I do with the other? Too many piles. Really, if you could see, here there, if you could see the table, it's a mess. Okay, the first giveaway is a set of 3 patterns, and my mom actually sent me these because she's not cross-stitching anymore, and they are perfect for Easter. And I'm going to give all 3 to one person because they kind of all go together. So it's from the Cricut collection, and it is Rabbit's Garden and the Rabbit's Big Day, Rabbit's Delight. So all 3 of those, and those would be so cute, not only hanging like she did, but also as little pin cushions tucked in your spring dough bowl. So if you are interested in being entered into this drawing, and you know you have to be 18 because I have to ask your address, don't say giveaway, don't say drawing, leave the word rabbits with an S on the end, rabbits, in your comment when you tell me about the weather. All right, the next one is from a viewer who emailed me and said, would you have any use for these for yourself or for the Flosstube? This is from Renee in Iowa. And she sent me 4, and I'm keeping 1 because I thought a trio would be really nice for you guys to do. And so this is Country Cottage Needleworks Frosty Forest. And we have 3 of them. And again, I'm sending all 3 as a set to one person. So if you're interested in that, make sure your comment includes the word Frosty. And again, as with all my giveaways, you don't have to make up a sentence with those in it. You can just put Frosty Rabbits at the end of your comment. It's nice when you leave something more than just Frosty Rabbits because I like hearing from you too. But anyways, if you're interested in either or both, you can enter for both. I will only have, like, the same person can't win both, but the odds of that happening are not very high. So anyways, we'll do that next time. Okay, I'm going to go to the photography tips in a second, but for my next Flosstube, I'm hoping to have 4 more pieces back framed, all of these smalls finished to share with you, and at least 1 new start, if not 2 new starts. So looking forward to that. Okay, so photographing your projects. My husband Paul has been a photographer since we were in high school. He had a dark room in his basement. He did a lot of beautiful black and whites back then. Now he does a lot of beautiful work. He does a lot of abstracts where he'll take a picture and then he'll manipulate the colors and the sequences a little, and they're just gorgeous. I'll leave a link to his photo website below so you can see some of the kinds of things that he does. He's also, of course, been the photographer for our yarn shop, the Loopy U, since 2006. So he's gotten a lot of experience in photographing things with texture. And linen is a lot like, or the fabrics we use, whether it's linen or Aida or whatever, is a lot like yarn in that it's a fiber and it has texture, and you want, when you photograph, you want that to show really well. So good lighting is really important, but you don't need professional lights and you don't need fancy diffusers and reflectors. And so I'm going to share a couple of tips with you, but then we're going to put a lot of just different photographic samples at the end to show you the results of what I'm talking about here. So most of the time when I take pictures for my Instagram, I use our dining room table, or which is wooden, or our wooden coffee table, because I feel like that makes a nice background to the lighter fabrics. At work at the Loopy U shop, I use a flooring board a lot. So if you go to our Loopy U Instagram account, you'll see this background. And what these are is these are pieces of flooring that interlock, and then Paul just put 2 end caps on them to keep them together. But for yarn, the yarn colors show up really well on this kind of a whitewashed board. So you can make yourself something similar. Now for what we do, and a lot of us are using lighter colors of fabric, you wouldn't necessarily want a white board for that. So we also have a wooden board. If, for example, I didn't have a good spot for photoing on my dining room table or my coffee table, this also is a good option. And again, it's just 3 floorboards from Lowe's, and he did the end caps to hold them together, and it makes a big, great backdrop. The thing to remember when you're doing photography is you don't want to just have your dining room light as the source of light for photoing on the table, because that's going to flatten your stitches and flatten the light and color coming from your stitches. So you want to focus on having a side light. So if you have a table and you have a window right here with the light coming in, that's good. That diffuses it and gives a better picture. Or wherever you come from, make sure you have a little bit of side light, not overhead light, and that will make a big difference too. And again, the flooring, it's like $5 or $10 worth of flooring. That allows you to be able to take it, anywhere in the house that you want a photo or that you have good light coming in. You can put it on the floor next to a door or a window and get the light that way. So the key is diffused light, not overhead light, and that's going to make a big difference for you. But we're going to insert some photos to show you what I mean. So stay tuned for the photos. In the meantime, I will see you on my next Flosstube. Thanks so much for watching and for the comments. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So our first example shows what happens when you use either the flash on your camera or phone, or you have the overhead lights on. The lighter areas in your project are washed out, and there's little texture or depth. The next series of photos show soft, diffused light coming from different angles. You can see the light and shadows change, which affects the texture and the depth. Using a portable background board lets you rotate your project in front of a window to get the effect you like. We'll repeat this sequence of photos at the end of the video so you can see all of these over again. This photo shows light coming from the top left corner at roughly a 45-degree angle. This is a very popular arrangement for any product photography, and it's a good place to start. It works great for food too, but try different angles because some projects look better at different angles. The tilt of the board toward the window will make a difference too, so having somebody help you move the board around as you're focusing on the camera and taking a look at it will help. Another advantage of diffused light is being able to capture subtle colors and contrasts, and we use a lot of that in our stitching. White and ivory are especially difficult to capture, but these different lighting techniques and experimenting with lighting will help. The glare of glass is another challenge, and it's rare that you can photograph your project on the wall just because of all the windows and lighting in your house. By using the portable background near a window, you can find the right angle to eliminate the reflections. Experiment with angling your camera too. Even if everything isn't in perfect focus, it can be interesting to share different perspectives of your project. The last tip is to place a white business card and a Sharpie within the scene. Having a pure white a neutral gray, and a black included in the scene gives your camera a reference as it tries to calculate the white balance. Sometimes your camera will look at the ivory or the cream fabric and think that's white, and then it automatically lightens everything up. So having the business card in there with a true white, a true black, a true gray gives your smart camera something to focus on to do it correctly for you. Here's a replay of the photos that we shared so you can see how the light moves and changes. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks again for watching.